started, because I know we have a few people who are only able to join us for a short period of time. Dan Paris says to say hi to everybody. He is dealing with not just the flu, but COVID and the flu in his household today. And so even though this is a virtual meeting, I was teasing him, I don't think you could give it to us. He goes, Pat, I just can't move. I'm like, not a problem, Dan. Dan is now working at the state level with with Chris Pinheiro around apprenticeship. So I will be updating him later in the week as his household heals and he's able to bring his head above water. I did not hear from anyone else. Brandy, I don't know if you heard from anybody else, but otherwise we are recording and we're excited to tell you what's been happening with the project as we round out the third year of our original project design. So I will turn it over to my colleague, Miss Brandy Solomon, to give you a brief but important update.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. We are time pushed ahead and springing forward into Advanced to Apprenticeship. We're keeping it going. I am Brandy Solomon, the Employment Project Coordinator through our Strong Center for Developmental Disabilities with the University of Rochester. Our fearless advisory leader, Pat Dowse, is through our MACNY consultant, and we also have Mayor Lee Boylan on the line, as well as Colleen. Yes, Colleen is also on the line, manager of apprenticeship through MACNY. So, like Pat said, we are closing out our third year. As of the end of this month, that will be the third year of this project, Advanced to Apprenticeship, that started as Pathway to Apprenticeship back in 2019. We underwent some modifications and we were able to begin our recruitment for both our sites in Mohawk Valley through MVCC and Rochester, New York through Center for Workforce Development in the summer of 2023. We were able to host our first class at MVCC, Mohawk Valley Community College, in the fall of 2023. And now we're gearing up for our next class this spring at Mohawk Valley. And at the Center for Workforce Development, spring classes have already started. So as a reminder, our Advanced to Apprenticeship project is all about pre-apprenticeship instruction. And our overall goal for everyone involved is employment first as that first option for them. Of course, there may be other alternative routes and paths that people take to get there, but through that, advancing into apprenticeship and all of the great level ups that come as a part of that process. So like I said, Center for Workforce Development classes are in session for the spring. We had tons of interest in our welding class. We were able to hold preview classes for students to see it, and we have enrollment there. We also have the ability to work with students in the machining as well as manufacturing technician classes. And on March 14th, we'll be doing a tabling day alongside our disability resource coordinator locally in Rochester, Lindsay Murphy, to make sure that all students are not only aware about what Advanced to Apprenticeship and Rochester Works can do for them, our workforce board here, our workforce development board here, and also being able to capture other students that go to CWD to make sure that they have access to wraparound supports that are in place in our community. There will also be an open house on April 11th, and we are geared up to be there as well to continue that conversation with getting people into the training program, making sure they have the support from application to TABE assessment, all the way through enrollment in first day of classes. So on the Mohawk Valley Community College side in Utica, our basic manufacturing course is enrolling for spring 2024. The course will start on April 8th and go through June 27th, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. Thursday being a tutoring day that is optional depending on that extra support that a student may need. The class will be held from 4:30 to 6:30 and at no cost to the student. We are continuing to work together with the partners in the Mohawk Valley area to braid the funding through SUNY, as well as the radar grants, and exploring additional funding options via Mohawk Valley Community College, as well as the Workforce Board in Utica, which is Working Solutions. On last week, we were able to hold our open house, and it was well attended with the students being there, very interested in everything that's going on in the Mohawk Valley community setting. So there is an awesome science and technology building that is filled with the fabrication lab as well as the machining classroom, and the students got to explore both of those as well as seeing all of the equipment and the end products that are possible. And they'll get that hands-on experience within the advanced to apprenticeship course. So upcoming, we'll have a Zoom informational session to continue with that recruitment for our spring class at MVCC. That will be happening next week on March 19th. And the link is there, the QR code is there. We'll make sure everything gets sent out as well so that students, potential students, and even community partners who want to learn more can register and be able to ask questions in a more intimate setting. Yes, so that is coming up next. I do want to put out there that if there is someone who missed the open house but really wanted to see the class, the space in person before starting, if they contact me, we can work together with our partners at MVCC to possibly make that happen for them before April so that they get that, a sensory stimulus input that they may need to make a decision about being in the course.
Randy, if I could just add that, well, perfect, what's next? Because I saw that Julia has joined us today from OPWD. Suzanne, just Suzanne's last name, from VR, actually reminded, say it again, I'm sorry. Pearson. Thank you. Suzanne Pearson reminded some of the agencies that were on the call from Mohawk Valley Community College's process and in Mohawk Valley proper, that the pre-employment training services that are now available for those that are presumed eligible under the new VR CRS contract might very well be people that we could and should invite to participate and be supported by the agencies that have those services under their contract. So we're going to be exploring how in both Rochester and the Mohawk Valley, working with the Utica office of the VR office, we can actually see if there's a way to create some interest and perhaps their own kind of cadre. We're wanting to make sure that transition age youth are partnering together. This was one of Colleen's ideas in regards to high school age students, not necessarily always feeling comfortable in a classroom that's full of older adults, because we tend to have folks that are been interested that are kind of all over the place age-wise. So we're going to explore some of that too. So if anybody else has any other ideas like that in regards to how we coordinate and invite people to participate. MACNY's had this experience already with Real Life Rosies, another program that they oversee. And the idea here is to make sure that we have students of like kind in regards to capacity, interest, age level, those kinds of things. If it makes sense to put them together, we are certainly looking for a fully diverse, inclusive kind of classroom, but let's make sure that our students are actually in an environment that is conducive to their learning is what we're thinking. So we're open to anybody's and everybody's ideas.
Thank you, Pat. Yes, we definitely are. And on that note, what's next as a part of us moving into our year 4, which for this project actually begins on April 1st, we are going to continue to support our partners. We're going to continue with evaluating the design. We have done an initial program evaluation for the Mohawk Valley Community College Basic Manufacturing course cohort in the fall. And I am currently, along with our evaluation consultant, undergoing interviews with all of our students, making sure that we get updates on where they are now and how A2A has impacted them since that time. Some of the reports that I've received already are around continued education. One of our graduates from the first cohort was able to move into additional education at Mohawk Valley in mechatronics, as well as some AI engineering program classes. Two of our other graduates from the fall cohort have moved into government positions, one being a very top secret position that he's not able to really give me information about. And the other student is starting with Homeland Security, doing our preparedness sessions within the Utica area, which I think is extremely cool because I've attended them over the years myself. And being prepared as a New Yorker is so critical because we never know. So supporting partners to make sure that students continue to have this opportunity on the table is also a part of building that sustainability. And on the sustainability note, Colleen, did you want to share more?
So good morning, everybody. I would like to share that MACNY had applied for this program to become a direct entry program with New York State Department of Labor. Direct entry program is like one of the only officially recognized pre-apprenticeship programs by the New York State Department of Labor. In order to become a direct entry program, you have to your program has to be free for participants. It has to include technical instruction as well as soft skills instruction and hands-on training. And you have to have a relationship with a group sponsor of registered apprenticeship, which MACNY is. And you also have to target groups of individuals who are underrepresented in the industry. So individuals with disabilities are underrepresented in manufacturing in terms of its employees. And so we have applied for this program to be a direct entry program for individuals with disabilities, veterans, and like racial minorities. And we were given approval recently by the New York State Department of Labor. So we did get that letter. So this program now is officially a direct entry program with New York State. And so that opens up different funding sources for the program. For instance, the Department of Labor has put out a grant for direct entry programs to be able to run additional cohorts. So we're looking at how to apply for those grants as well as some other ones.
Yes, Colleen, thank you. So very, very exciting news. And on that path of sustainability in the Mohawk Valley community area, we're looking to see what we can do here in Rochester, but we are so excited to be one of the first with our category of disabilities on our direct entry. So our next steps are staying on the road, continuing with the national and the state conversations about pre-apprenticeship training, moving people from maybe underemployment into career-based, high-wage manufacturing industry positions, as well as making sure they have the opportunity to explore all of that to say whether they want to continue or not. But we want to be able to share that widely, all about advanced to apprenticeship and the model itself, from the wraparound supports for the students, the UDL training, universal design learning training for our instructors, as well as the neurodiversity training for the businesses, so that everyone has the support they need to make the person in the middle be successful with moving through the path to advance to apprenticeship. So sharing that widely, has started with our SWIDC group that we have here in New York State, the Submin Wage to Competitive Integrated Employment. We were able to have some conversations, and we're going to continue those conversations, making sure that programs like Advanced to Apprenticeship are being offered as one of those options available to people as they move out of sub-min wage environments. We're also gearing up to do a podcast with Fuse Hub. In May, we are on the schedule with them, and definitely will share the information with you all to be able to tap in and listen to us for that podcast. We're also waiting, actually this week we'll learn if we've been accepted to present at National APSE's National Conference in June, being able to partner with giving information about advanced to apprenticeship, as well as apprenticeships in general, as an option that typically has not been presented to people with disabilities. And on this week, on the 13th at 1, I, alongside one of our partners, Scott, I'm going to say it wrong, I might need my colleagues, the NIIT, so National Institute Technology.
Yeah.
We love our partners, but the acronym.
Martha, I always forget the second I. You're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, it's okay. So we'll be doing the World of Apprenticeships in You, giving additional information about A2A, as well as, opening up for questions and answers all about how people get started and what we've done so far and are looking to move forward with doing. When it comes to New York State APSE, we're on the lookout for dates and opportunities to present to that group as well as additional groups. So if you have a group of yourself or one that you know of that you want us to get in front of and present this information, just let us know. So we're also looking to initiate the statewide coalition that is going to be all about bringing together the programs that are similar to ours in our state to talk about what they're doing and how we can evaluate and elevate our outcomes together to make sure that every area is being touched in terms of people with disabilities and not getting the supports they need to advance in their career, especially in the manufacturing area. Continuing to educate our training sites and the businesses is a critical part of our model and what we're going to continue doing ongoingly, as well as supporting those creation of employment opportunities. In the training to businesses, we talk about customized employment as well as accommodations, helping to potentially modify some of the old school thinking about how shifts need to be structured and how positions must be, helping businesses understand that with a little wiggle room, you actually may get more productivity than you've ever gotten from a diverse employee. And involvement with youth with disabilities. Pat touched on it a little, but we're definitely making sure that we continue the conversation with our youth, their families, and special education teachers to make sure that manufacturing exploration is happening to engage those younger students in apprenticeship exposure and pathways. So we always have our call to action, and it is surrounded around marketing, making sure that you're spreading the word, but also letting us know about community fairs and different groups that we can get in front of to make sure that we're spreading the news. And then if there's businesses that you are familiar with, we can definitely tap them in as well. MACNY is great with helping businesses get that apprenticeship status so we can make sure that that connection is made and provide that neurodiversity training so that they can continue to be or become a more inclusive and supportive employer. Are there any questions or thoughts about what we have going on? So like I said, we are wrapping up our year 3, moving into our year 4, and it's all about supporting partners and building sustainability while providing information about what we're doing widely.
Actually, Brandy, Nicole Sortino, are one of our instructors from the first round at Mohawk Valley. I invited her to join us this morning in order to kind of give a perspective for folks on the on our state advisory committee of the process that happened during that class and the students that she worked with. If you don't mind, I'd love to invite her to just give a kind of rundown of what it was like to be the teacher, because obviously she we're excited because she liked it so much. She's coming back for round 2. So Nicole, if you wouldn't mind just coming on the screen and being able to introduce yourself and let people see hear what great things happened during our first round at Mohawk Valley Community College, because I think it's a model that we're going to look to replicate, but enhance as we go forward, because this open house that we just had, there were 4 really interesting students, very much involved and watching our skill instructor James walking around that lab. So I'm excited for you, but I'll be quiet and let you give your perspective, let people know what you think this program's like.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. So thank you, Pat, for that introduction. My name is Nicole Sortino. I was the soft skills instructor for Advanced to Apprenticeship Mohawk Valley. And my experience with the cohort was absolutely amazing. It was so much fun. It was such a good group. And it was a really great way for us to get to know each other. It was a very comfortable learning environment. The students felt safe, asking a lot of questions that maybe they didn't know the answers to. We definitely are workshopping the cohort, adding in additional manufacturing piece. So from what I can speak to as far as a soft skills perspective, we got to see a lot of students maintain employment or obtain new employment. And I'm very proud of my students, especially Brandy was saying I helped one student get in with Homeland Security. I got another one working with Department of Finance through the government. We've got another student who is upskilling. And I actually know that there's another student as well who's enrolled in MVCC. I've got students who are now working with our Project Excite grants through the Workforce Development Board. So what we're seeing is it's a spark. We're seeing a lot of it create this momentum for the students where they want to continue learning, and they're comfortable coming to a college environment, and they're comfortable stepping out of their comfort zone. And that's really the most important thing that I could say I've seen from this group. Not only that, the thing that made me so happy was a sense of camaraderie. They continued to upskill together. So after the Advanced to Apprenticeship program ended, most of the students rolled right into an MVCC fast track program for robotics. And they all did it together because they felt comfortable. Again, keeping that ability to learn with the cohort that you've gone through it with. Each student also got the ability to interview, and interviewing can be very challenging for anyone. And so giving them a safe place to have these interviews and a lot of time to prepare really made them feel in control. And I think that those are the kinds of tools that we were giving to them, this ability to feel in control of your own destiny, to feel as though you can choose, to feel as though you can upskill and you're worthy, you belong. So it was a great group. I love that they keep in touch with me. I'm really excited for a future cohort. I love all the ideas that I'm hearing about, incorporating a youth cohort and working with OPWDD and VR services. So I'm really excited for all these opportunities. I think that the need is there. We just want to see those seats filled, so we're really able to make this program worthwhile, because it's very important, and we do good work here. So thank you, Pat, for letting me go off on a tangent about how great A2A was. But truly, it was awesome. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. What this reinforces is that Nicole in Mohawk Valley is the Disability Resource Coordinator also at the local Workforce Board with Working Solutions, and Lindsay Murphy as the Disability Resource Coordinator in Rochester. And we have a similar relationship with that Workforce Board. So as you can see, colleagues, this is truly a program that's not only working at a state level across the system, but within the local area. We are also working all together, representing your agencies on our advisory boards at a regional level, are indeed colleagues of yours that do that work on the boots on the ground, compared to the policy work that you all have to keep track of at a state level. So I was actually going to pose back out to all of you. The governor's budget is out. We're still working on those kinds of things. Is there anything that we should be aware of that you can think of that might add to what we're doing, throw a curveball, maybe pay attention to? Is there any things that are happening on a state level that Marilee, Brandy, Colleen, and I may not be aware of that we should pay attention to, that you can share for the good of the order. If not, certainly we would love to an email, or we'll create another opportunity to have a conversation with you. But we want to make sure that nothing stands in the way of the success now that A2A has been approved as a direct entry. We'll be inviting, others to participate in ways that make sense for them. So are there anything at the state policy or budget level that we need to be aware of and pay attention to support and make sure the program continues forward as we hope?
So I think Andy had to pop off. Was there anyone else from Access Viewer on?
I don't. I see Lauren is with the commission, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. So hi guys, Julia Kelly, OPWDD. So it's very, very preliminary and don't know what it's going to look like, but there was some Employment First money allocated in the governor's budget. Some of that will go to collaboration around Employment First, and some of it, OPWDD was the state body that asked for the funding. So some of it'll go to some pilot projects. I'm not sure if the pilot projects will exactly fit with what you're doing, but it certainly could, and they're not created yet, so I can't give you details on that. For us, the portion that is really more for OPWDD will be around kind of our accessing the full array of services. So one of the things we say is that if you have support employment, it's very good to have community-based pre-voc, which is our services that do the soft skills training and the work experiences, because for a whole variety of reasons. One is you come out of high school and you may do a really good career plan, because we are obsessed with discovery and career planning, all our services included, but you still need to get there. So, and that aligns, of course, with a lot of what you're talking about. So the combination of our support employment, our community-based pre-voc program can help people, get their first job out of high school, and then volunteer, short-term work experiences, soft skill training, and get experience in their chosen career area, and then hopefully move into a job related to that. So there certainly is some parallel. I'm just not sure, how tight the little box will be for the pilots yet. And then Pathway to Employment's coming back on. It's online. We've completely redesigned it. And that should be coming out, I would say, by summer. The new ADM and regs and the new guidebook and policy around that'll be coming out. It could be some overlap there. We'll have to talk. It's a very similar service to community-based pre-voc, except it's short-term, 1 year. It'll be around 400 something hours. And it's to develop a career plan. So again, it's the career research, soft skills, trying at least 3 different types of jobs, and building that career plan. So that's, we've made some changes, and that's coming back online. Yes.
Julia, that's very exciting. I'm going to ask you to consider, as you think about the way you're planning this, though, that what I have learned over the years of being involved in this manufacturing initiative is that job coaches, job developers don't know manufacturing. So, and they may not know other kinds of jobs as well, just because that's not what they were hired to do. They were hired to coach and look for things that people want to do. But if they've never been introduced to an industry, so while I know how the federal and state funding is typically written to support the individual, in order for that individual to have the most diverse experience, somehow we've got to figure out how to introduce the world of work beyond what is typically known to those that are supporting them, and that's the coaches themselves. And whether or not that's done through Eleversity or CASE or just in general from MACNY or other groups like MACNY that could help the state agencies introduce their industries to the very people that are going to help these folks make decisions around their future, I would just encourage you to think about it from that perspective. And perhaps there's a way to put those kinds of opportunities out there. SVT is an amazing program that I think has been doing some really cool stuff in general. But once again, they had to have a period of time to learn about how to do things differently versus connecting directly to those that regularly do that kind of training for the industry. So food for thought for everyone as we look at creating opportunity, that if you don't know what you don't know, discovery is an interesting word, but you can't discover it in a timely fashion to make it work with the dollars that sometimes have a time limited beginning and end for it. So just food for thought, my friend.
Well, so thank you. A few other things. One is, you know, it's, of course, the pathway and the pre-vote, that's all tied to individual
Right.
Medicaid funded outcomes. There certainly is opportunity to collaborate with University. You know, again, I don't have a lot of extra funding for that, if any, but we can still always. We do a leadership series is one of the things that we do every year. So
Right.
we were going to have a leadership conference. We may actually have a little bit of funding in University to do a series on you know, how to do job development in specific industries. So that's actually very much a possibility.
Okay, but even as you talk about the events or whatever, MACNY, I'm putting a plug in for obviously MACNY, but there's other trade groups that work with the industries in different ways, and they themselves are always recruiting and looking for ways to let people know about the kinds of work that are there. So it doesn't necessarily have to turn into dollars to them, but just including them, inviting them to be at the table versus just focusing on our agencies who did a great job and do, like I said, SVT has been amazing, but they had to learn it from the ground up sometimes, and where these guys are already doing it regularly, helping. Frank is on the call today too. You know, he's part of the Manufacturing Alliance, and businesses themselves would be very happy to talk to others about what to do and how to do it, I'm sure, if we give them the opportunity. So just creating diversity.
Yeah, no. There is the possibility actually of maybe developing an opportunity like that. We can talk, set up
Okay,
time.
Colleen's got her hand up. I'll let my colleague
Oh,
from
sure.
MACNY come in.
So, this reminds me of a program that Center State CEO in the Syracuse area did last summer with teachers from the school district. They had them come in during the summer to do like company tours. So I think that would be something we could potentially explore. How many job coaches do you guys have?
Oh, there's probably, you mean statewide? Because
Yeah, statewide, there's
Statewide
hundreds.
in the
right,
Mohawk Valley
1,000,
and
right,
Rochester.
exactly. There's 220 agencies. I'm not sure what the average is, but you know, times 5.
And that's just on the DD, that's just on the IDD side. But I think
But-
that the introduction to APSI is helping that opportunity, Colleen, because that's their group that does training and does conferences and that kind of stuff. So being able to bring HOA there.
Also, I'm working with Department of Labor. It's not, it's still in the concept. It's a little bit past concept, but it's not agreed yet. But we are talking with the DRCs, and I was extremely happy to hear, Nicole, your presentation and what you've been able to accomplish. Very, very impressive. But we're looking at, before the pandemic, there was more business consortiums. Now there's fewer. Now they're partially virtual. You know, they're kind of getting their feeding again. Lots of regions never had a business consortium. I know that Western New York has a very strong one. New York City has a strong one. There's several others around. So we're looking to potentially maybe work with the DRCs to host a regular business consortium. And I think that would fit in extremely well, because the business consortiums typically are made up of providers that get together, share job leads. The DRC would bring some job leads, but they also frequently have businesses present, or they will go on field trips to, you know, companies and businesses to see what exactly is that company looking for in their employees. So that may also be a very strong tie, you know, as well as going through the DRC route. So there's actually several, so we can easily probably do something with Eleversity. We can kind of add that the connection to, the business consortium and Department of Labor work that we're starting to do. Pilot funding will be coming out. It's a possibility that an agency might say, we want to start providing the full array service, but we also want to increase the type of jobs people want. And part of our pilot might be to have job developers really study certain industries so that they are more of an expert in specific, that could be written into a pilot RFP proposal. Yep. So lots of ideas. Pat, if you want to flesh them out separately.
Be happy to. The other thing we want to, on the business side, you were just talking about coming up to highlight and shout out to my friend Frank, who's on our call here today as advisor on a state level. Frank Falla from Falla Industries will be joined by one of his employees, Jack, to talk about how diverse to businesses. So MACNY has added a couple of webinars to their cadre in order to do the other side. So while we're talking right now about how to connect and teach about the industry, we're also already under MACNY creating some webinars for the Manufacturing Alliance business members to learn more about how to do what A2A and STEPS and other programs that are happening around the country are doing in order to diversify the workforce and the value added to that. So Frank will be joined by Jack on the 26th of March. I'll get the flyer out to everybody. And we also have one coming up in April. Wendy Gower from Cornell will also be talking about the benefits to the bottom line for those businesses, because we obviously have to talk their talk to make sure that they see how it all plays out together. So if anybody has any other ideas around specific things that you've been working with businesses through your agencies in order to do the employment first work that you're talking about, don't hesitate to let Colleen and I know, and we'll work with you to bring a presentation like that to businesses as well.
Thanks.
Pat.
Frank. Thanks, Pat,
ahead.
for bringing that up. Yeah, March 26th at 9 o'clock, we're going to have a 1-hour webinar. We've been at this, we're a small manufacturing company, but we're very advanced. And I'll be introducing Jack, who is a superstar for us. He had many failures when he was in the OPWDD system in terms of trying to find a job that would be right for him. He was also very concerned about losing his benefits if he did take in these higher level jobs that would disqualify him for his benefits. And he's now way past that. I mean, he's being accelerated through our promotion system, and he'll be explaining as well as I will be about why there's certain individuals that have this ability to really be focused on their work and also be able to be very pedantic. In other words, they don't let anything slip by. This is the way it has to be done because this is the process. And we love that because most people, especially younger people coming in, they don't have that attention to detail. And so you'll be meeting Jack, and also I'll explain a little bit more about how this is all working out for manufacturers.
That's amazing.
And Pat, I
Thank
saw
you, Frank.
Franca had her hand up before.
Go ahead.
Franca, did you have a question?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to mention when we were talking about tours and things like that, we do the Mohawk Valley Community College's Advanced Institute for Manufacturing provides tours to high school guidance counselors. And it was through special funding that we were able to do that. But there are a lot of other opportunities to explore the industries as well, including National Manufacturing Day, and a lot of events that MACNY provides as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Franca, it'd be awesome to try to get more teachers who are in special education to that. What we're finding here locally in Rochester is folks who in special education usually aren't invited to that table. So that would be really wonderful to just like focus an invite to those
Yes.
teachers.
so our next one is coming up in April. So I will talk to Corey Albrecht, who is coordinating that, and see who is invited, and see if we can focus that list a little more. Yes, thank you. And I since I have the mic, special thank you. I just have to say thank you to the University of Rochester for really taking the bull by the horn and making this happen. This has been on our to-do list for way too long, and I'm so happy that we were able to be a part of this. So an extreme thank you to Marilee, to Brandy, to Pat and Macney for all that you have done as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We're a team.
The future is other community colleges and
Yes.
or BOCES, because I mean, remember folks, the MVC is our community college pilot, and CWD, Center for Workforce Development, is connected to the adult education component of the Rochester BOCES. So it's creating opportunities in different platforms to see what makes sense. As we well know, what happens in Buffalo isn't necessarily what's going to work in Long Island or in New York City in particular, because of the nuances of those regions and what has to be paid attention to. Mohawk Valley's been a significant leader in the industry of manufacturing. The corridor there is ripe and rich with great manufacturing, small, medium, and large. So being able to tap them and help them see the value. And that's what MACNY does on a state level, but then has also this manufacturing alliance group that is regionally based, supported by entities like RTMA, CEG in the Capital Region, AIM down in the Mohawk Valley, and then the Council of Industries that Frank leads down in the Hudson Valley. So we're excited to keep building this and looking for ways to move this across our state as appropriate, not immediately.
I like an asterisk.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Otherwise, Colleen will get mad at me because Colleen knows I promise too much and then we can't deliver. That's not a good idea. That's not a good model. So thank you.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Go ahead, Brandy. This is your contact information.
Absolutely. So for more information or for enrollment or even just questions, feel free to contact us through me. So Brandy_Solomon at urmc.rochester.edu is how you can reach me. And we, once again, are so grateful for all of the partners that we have across the state, from Utica to Rochester, and all in between, especially in Albany, where the money is trickling from. Thank you for all of it as we continue to advance to apprenticeship with all that we do. So that is the end of my show, but if anyone has anything else that they want to add before we get off, please feel free.
Julia, can I ask you a quick question? Because you use the terms employment first. And I've also heard language that is called state as a model employer. Is employment first the overarching, and my understanding is that's the overarching theme, and under that is state as a model employer. Is that somewhat what New York is doing these days, or indeed have we actually got some real momentum around employment first activities as it was described in other places?
So we have momentum for employment first. New York as a model employer is both kind of under that umbrella and separate.
Right.
Which is good because it really kind of should have its own life.
Yeah.
There were 2 years of NEON grants with national experts that are meeting with the most of the state agencies that have employment and people with disabilities related, so DOL, Access VR, etc. There is an employment first set of principles that was developed that the commissioners are looking at. There is all the MOUs are being redone. Many of them are old, and in the MOUs will include new partnerships. There is a lot of meetings around what can we do, for instance, Access VR and OPWDD. We have kind of a lot of myths of what can you do in Access VR and what can you do with OPWDD as far as funding and braiding and creating kind of, you know, the fuller picture of supports that somebody might need. And so we're going through all of our services again and carefully saying, can these services be provided at the same, during the same period for the same person? And, you know, that started off pretty like yellow and red, meaning maybe, no. And now it's a lot green and yellow, more green. So, there's, you know, that's just one data sharing. Department of Labor, like I said, we're talking about, you know, maybe collaborating to do more business consortiums. We have our employability, you know, so most of that's going to fall under there. The one thing that, you know, really has to is we all have to, we're also looking at how do people transition. And I know, who is it, Frank, you've talked about this, I think, in past presentations, and I totally get it, the frustration of people trying to transition from Access VR to OPWDD, you know, or to any of our services, special ed to Access, you know, all of that can really weigh people down, and businesses don't care. They just want to hire people, you know, colleges want to get people in there and get them trained. So we're trying to work on that, those transitions also as part of Employment First. Some of it for OPWDD, as you guys know, we don't have a lot of control over because we are Medicaid funded. So getting into Social Security and Medicaid is not something we have direct control over. But anything that we do, we're trying to fix. And then finally, when people come out of high school, that, you know, everybody in their plans, whether it's OMH or OPWDD, starts, it continues, hopefully, the conversation around employment. Or starts, if it hasn't been started, right away. And what does that path look like? So that, but that's all in process right now. There is a
Thank you.
proclamation that's just, you know, maybe a year from now, if we're lucky, and hopefully a policy. We'd like to also see statewide policy if possible. So
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
it's in process, not
Your
there yet.
DOL colleagues owe you a favor this morning for doing all that explanation. Thank you. Any other thoughts from other folks that are joined us to brag a little bit about what's going on at your state agency, or things that for the good of the order that those that aren't in state service might want to know about? Just checking in. Okay. All right, Brandy, then I think we can wrap it up, and we'll see everybody again in June. We're at the first quarter of the new funding round to be able to give you some updates on sustainability activities that we will be pursuing in the next couple of months. We certainly value your supporting this project overall. And as you do, as Julia's highlighted a lot of things, as your agencies are looking at things, don't hesitate to think about apprenticeship, about manufacturing, and the ability to have us teach you and your staff, if necessary, about how to make this process happen for more people around the state. We're excited. We thank the CDD indeed for supporting. We were able to present the great things that happened in the first 2.5 years to have the council believe that the leadership from the University of Rochester, in partnership with MACNY, made sense to give us 2 more years of funding to continue this process. But we wouldn't be successful if we didn't have our partnerships at Working Solutions and Mohawk Valley Community College and CWD. It is truly an opportunity to see how to sail together along this path of new ideas and new work opportunities. So thank you. I'll send out the notice for the training on the 26th and the one in April with Cornell to everyone. And we would very much value all the businesses that you're working with. This is focused on manufacturing, if you will, but nonetheless, the theme and the concepts relate for any business that wants to make sure that its workforce includes the best employees they can find. And that includes the people who present themselves challenged or not with disability. So thank you all very much for your support. We'll see you in June. Take care.
Thank you.